Folks, you see this picture? This is the picture of John Gore. And you may not recognize this picture unless you live in the state of North Carolina or you keep up with various events that occur around the country. Now, if you don't know this guy's history, let me help you out. Now again, do you see this picture? And if you have basically been living under a rock for a long time, you recognize this picture as Jefferson Beauregard Sessions. But the previous picture, which is of Mr. John Gore, is one that we all are more than likely going to come to recognize. Donald Trump, in his first day, did several things. He signed off on the nomination and confirmation of 2 of his cabinet officers. He signed off, or actually created an executive order, which instructed the Department of Health and Human Services not to cooperate or not to make things easy in its administration of the Affordable Care Act, specifically not to help with anything that has to do with money, that would be tax credits, etc. But a little known fact that ran under the radar is what happened with the Department of Justice. Let me read you the information on the proposed addition to the Department of Justice. Donald Trump has tapped lawyer John Gore, who defended the University of North Carolina system in a legal challenge over the state's anti-LGBT law, to be the Deputy Assistant Attorney General for the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division. Gore is a partner at Jones Day, the Trump campaign's law office. Jones Day announced that Gore and several other lawyers with the firm will be joining the Trump administration. If Jeff Sessions is confirmed by the Senate as Attorney General, he would oversee Gore. Gore defended the University of North Carolina system in a lawsuit challenging the state's HB2 law, which barred transgender people from using public bathrooms that correspond with their gender identity. Gore withdrew as counsel on the case last week. Gore graduated from the University of Texas School of Law in 2005 and now works out of the Washington, D.C. office of Jones Day. Mr. Gore has recently worked on antitrust cases involving the healthcare industry as well as redistricting cases. Gore defended the former Republican majority leader of the New York State Senate in a redistricting case in 2011-2012. He also helped Republicans in Florida gain approval for redistricting plans also in 2012. So obviously this guy is a Republican, and obviously this guy is always on the wrong side as far as minorities, black people in particular, gaining their proper, not extra, but proper voting rights. Well, now this guy is going to be in charge of the Civil Rights Division. Why is that important? Well, let's jump to a little known fact that was not publicized by the new Trump administration. With Trump in office, feds may alter course in Texas voter ID case. Department of Justice lawyers look to adjourn a hearing next week, and some expect them to wind up abandoning their argument that the Texas voter ID law discriminates against minorities. Hours after President Donald Trump was inaugurated, the Department of Justice filed to postpone a hearing on the Texas voter ID law. The request was granted. The DOJ had previously argued that the law intentionally discriminated against minority voters, but told the court it needed additional time for the new administration to brief the new leadership of the department on this case and the issues to be addressed at that hearing before making any representations to the court. Chad Dunn, attorney for the plaintiffs in the case, expects Trump's Department of Justice to reverse course. I figure the government will spend the next 30 days figuring out how to change its mind, he said, adding that now he expects the DOJ to argue on behalf of the state of Texas, which had held that there was no intent to discriminate against minorities. The facts did not change, just the personnel. The new hearing date has been set for February 28th. So, Texas is normally a leader when it comes to conservative ideas. If the Department of Justice reverses itself and jumps to the side of the state of Texas on its suppressive voter laws, and those laws go through, you could expect the same thing to happen in North Carolina, Wisconsin, Michigan, Kansas, South Dakota, North Dakota. The government fighting for black people in regard to their right to vote will all but disappear. So Donald Trump said, what do you have to lose by voting for him? Guess what? It's your right to vote. And for all of you people out there that voted for Donald Trump or did not vote at all, and there was a large segment of people that were on social media saying or telling people, what good was it to cast a vote? Well, guess what? For all you people that listen to that bullshit, more than likely, pretty soon, a lot of you are no longer going to have the right to vote. If you didn't know it, in order to vote in the state of Kansas, and I expect this to get rolled out across the board shortly, you are required to prove citizenship. Now, there's only a couple of ways that you can prove your citizenship. The principal way is to provide a birth certificate or a passport where you have previously proven your citizenship. How many of you people are going to take the time, if you don't have one, to obtain a birth certificate, trot it down to your local DMV or election office to provide that information along with a secondary form of ID, i.e. a state driver's license or identification card, in order to register to vote? This is not going to make things easier for you. It's going to make things a lot harder for you and everybody else. So, in closing, you people who did not vote or who voted for Donald Trump, and I'm speaking specifically to black people out there, guess what? You helped your enemy. You basically castrated yourself and your ability to affect change. Now, and all the marching in the world is not going to help you, because the GOP, Republicans, now have the power, and you are going to be severely restricted in your ability to vote. You're going to be gerrymandered into districts that delete the power of your numbers. You, i.e., and the rest of us who you screwed, are going to be in big trouble.